All right, everybody, and we are live. It's Monday night. You know what that means. K-Pro Cow Powwow with special guest Jono Jones. And tonight, of course, we're doing Kitchen Sink Mondays. So we've got a very interesting video clip that we're going to show that I think everybody wants to see. So how you doing, Jono?
I'm good, thanks, yeah. I'm good. It's 2 a.m. I've had some coffee, so I should be good for the next hour and a half, and then you might see me snoozing off, but yep, I'm good.
You're gonna be like,
That might be the cleanest kitchen I've ever seen.
Well, you can see what's behind this.
Yeah, right.
Laptop, yeah.
it's a green screen. It's a green screen.
How you doing, K-Pro?
I am excellent. I am excited about tonight, and we decided not to play the clip, though, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, we're playing the clip, everybody. Don't go there. Let's talk about Chase Opley for an hour. Yeah, don't do that.
Mad at all. No one. Okay. Yes. No, I'm doing great. It's fun. I have my coffee. My coffee is right here, and my green screen isn't acting up. And wait, did we slight echo on K-Pro and Brit?
Well, if it's slight, we're going to let it go.
Some people are saying echo. Okay.
Okay.
Holy said everyone will unsubscribe. So let's go to a few announcements. Please subscribe because we are, it's about a couple minutes out. I am too loud. I don't know if you guys are being on me or not. So here is what we are doing. We have started, this is the second Kitchen Sink Mondays. And this is where we will show a clip. The first clip is going to be Douglas Preston saying he thinks that there is a hint in some of these quotes. So those of you that don't know, Mike and I and a team of people, including a documentarian, are working on a documentary slash series for the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. And we have already determined some quotes that we thought would be important to searchers, but have already hit the cutting room floor. We decided rather than be like, Mike, they're saying there's an echo on my.
Let me turn it on and listen here.
I have already hit the cutting room floor. We decided rather than be like. A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I set it up the way Toby said, so I don't know what the problem is.
They're saying fix the echo. Do you want me to drop off and come back on?
I don't think that's going to change anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change anything.
Jonah, why don't you talk? Let's see.
See if it does it with you.
Got an echo. I got an echo as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change anything. Let's see.
Jonah, why don't you talk? Let's see.
See if it does it with you.
Got an echo. I got an echo as well.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a little bit. It doesn't seem significant on my side, but. Can you guys understand me enough that we continue, or do we need to drop off? And Anagram is just saying K-Pro can't talk tonight.
Well, the important one is the clip won't have the echo. At least I hope so.
Okay. I'm going to keep going. I don't know if there's things you can push and do, Mike, but it's annoying, Lori's saying, but some saying or just go with it. Okay.
Maybe we're doing it on purpose. You never know. All right, go ahead.
Maybe when I start talking about Chase Opley, the echo drops off.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we're going to show the Douglas Preston clip. We are going to show our first clip, which is last week with Cynthia on. And we have asked Jono to come on, and he's going to give his perspective after we show the clip. So that's going to be the first few minutes. We're going to try to get that at the about 10-minute mark. Mike, if you can maybe call Toby. Some people aren't understanding me. Some people are saying it's not that bad. Some people are saying it's really bad.
If Toby's watching and he wants to call, he can. Other than that, I don't know.
And then if you want to be a guest on one of these shows, please let us know by emailing me at kpro3@aol.com. Jono, we knew and we loved, so we were able to give him actually the clip beforehand because we trusted not to be leaked. Toby, I'm not looking at you, but I might be looking at you. This did not get leaked by Jono. And so we did give him a little bit beforehand so he was able to analyze. So he's going to get some hard-hitting analysis, and then he has some content he wants to share. So we are going to dive in, but I will ask there is some things we want to do with the channel when we get to 1,000 subscribers. We're at 868. Please take a second and subscribe and like. I don't care as much if you like. Please subscribe. You get content when we don't go live. It will allow me to go mobile live with DPro if you guys like DPro stuff. If you have questions for DPro, email me at kpro3@aol.com. You do not need to send them something to have questions for a kid. The only other thing I'll say, there's 2 more announcements. One is when we hit 1,000 subscribers, we will do a marathon. We have lots of interest, and we will give an extra quote from these cutting room floors. So that won't be a kitchen sink Monday. We will give an extra one out on that night. The last thing is, and please don't joke about it in the chat room because some people got upset when I said this last night. They joked about it and then they got timed out. There are 3 topics that are no longer allowed in my chat room, and it's up to Mike if he wants to mirror this. And the only reason is I don't even care to say which side of the argument I believe in, but politics, religion, and drugs, those are the ones that are derailing our chats, and they are having some issues with some of our users. That is not our key content that we want to debate. So I will ask those not to be discussed in chat. If they are discussed in chat, they will be first censored, and then, or they will be removed, and then you will get timeouts. And then if it continues, we will completely okay, people are already having some jokes, and Jack, I ask you to talk to your counselor about that. But in general, I know it's fun for some of you. It's not fun for some others. It has actually got some people banned, some people starting to call each other's names. I know we're a politically charged nation, but over the pond, they're just easygoing people. So hello, Jono, how are you?
I'm good, and I'm easygoing. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what we want, is some easygoing searcher talk. So again, it's not that I don't care about the subjects we're talking about. I just don't care about them tonight when we are talking all things Forrest Fenn content. So we are at the 8-minute mark. So Mike, I would like you to play 3 clips. The first one is all things Forrest.
Go ahead.
I know you're trying.
Yeah, I'm looking. Go ahead.
The first thing is the Preston, there's a quote. That's in here that nobody's ever gotten.
Right.
I would like you to talk or play the clip of the driveway from last week, and then the hard-hitting, is there a keyword and where do we find it? That's the third one, and then we're going to have Jono weigh in on what we think of it.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Hopefully this plays okay, because these are the important part. Here we go.
I'm going to say this, that in what Forrest just said now, sitting in that chair, I believe a very significant clue was said. But I'm not going to say what it is.
Thank you.
Okay.
And there's something
a little
new.
mystery to this.
Something new that no one has gotten before.
Okay.
All right, and then we go to last week's clip from the Forrest Fenn interview.
Is important, you have said. Where do we start this poem? Is it in your driveway?
You start the chase by getting in your car and going to the first clue. That's what starts it. If you don't know where warm waters halt, you don't know anything.
And that's it. If you don't know where warm waters halt, you don't know anything. And then do you want to jump right into the keyword?
Yes.
Okay, everybody.
Even though everybody's saying echo, they can't understand it, or some people are. I don't know.
Oh, the video too?
That's what they're saying.
Well,
Do we want to wait? Do you want to try to fix it? What happened last time when we tried to? I mean, do you know what you did?
It's the way it's playing it through, but the settings haven't changed from when we fixed it before, so I do not know what to do to fix it. So guess we're going to have to live with it, or maybe we make the chat short-lived, but we could show the video anyway. I don't know. What do you want to do?
Yeah, there is no way we're dropping off without discussing
we'll show,
something tonight.
We'll show the video. Oh, hang on. Yeah, I don't know. Let me check one other thing real quick.
See, now we have Bo saying, I only hear an echo when K-Pro talks. Jack saying K-Pro is fine. It may just be the internet. Roll with it. Keep going. Mike is good. When K-Pro talks, Jack saying K-Pro is
Yeah, I hear it. I can hear it, yeah. It's like a double. So it's coming through in two different ways, somehow, some way. So, desktop audio. Yeah, no, that should be it. Okay, so yeah, let's just go right into the word that's key then, since they're saying I don't have an echo, right?
Correct.
Oh, now somebody said you have Chrome open. Yeah, I do have Chrome open, actually. And the reason I have Chrome open is to say, how do we know that there's a word that is key in the poem? Because back in 2014, on the Serious Writings website, there was a 6 questions more with Forrest. Remember, this is 2014. And basically the question was, what are some of your thoughts about the flurry of activity over the past year? Did the excitement towards the chase surprise you in any way? And does it make you think the chest might be found earlier than first thought? And Forrest's response is, it is interesting to know that a great number of people are out there searching. Many are giving serious thought to the clues in my poem, but only a few are in tight focus with a word that is key. And this is the important part. The treasure may be discovered sooner than I anticipated. To me, that makes it huge that he's saying, due to this word that is key, the treasure might be found sooner than he anticipated. So I just closed Chrome down. Can you try and talk, K-Pro? Let's see if it helped at all.
As I've gone alone in there, and with my treasures bowl, I can keep the secret where, and hint of riches, new and old. Begin at where warm waters halt and take it in the canyon down. How long am I going to go? I can keep the secret where, and hint of riches, new and old. Begin at where warm waters halt.
It's there a little bit. It's not horrible. But okay.
You know what? If anybody is going to object, it's going to be to this. So play it. We'll play it more than once. We will apologize. We will clip it in something else. Jono's ready, and he's going to yell at us soon. So let's get going.
All right, here it is, everybody. Jono, you got anything to say before we play it?
No, it's good.
All right, here we go. I guess the video's self-explanatory, so here we go. Uh-oh, you there, Christy? You locked up for a minute. Okay, you locked up for a minute. All right, here we go. All kinds of problems on the word that is key.
You have been very generous, both of you, with your time.
Can I ask one question, Forrest? Just one? Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Do you still believe there's a word that is key that searchers should focus on?
Yes.
And is that word in the poem?
You said one question.
Then you ask it, Christy. Is that word in the poem?
May I ask a question?
I'm so far ahead of these guys.
Yes. Cynthia wanted to ask something. May I ask a question? Is that word in the poem?
Now that was 2 questions. You asked if you could ask a question. Was the question.
And you thought I was bad.
I take you literally. What's your question?
Is the key word in the poem?
Well, that's what he asked me.
No, he asked you if there is one, and you said yes. My question is it in the poem?
There's one word that will help you more than some of the others
In the poem.
in the poem.
All right, thank you for it. It's pretty big for searchers.
But you got to have all of them. One is not going to take you there.
Yeah.
Well, I've been asked 100 times, which is the most important clue in the poem? It's so obvious to me the most important clue is the last one because you're holding the treasure. How could you say any of the other clues are more important than that one? I'm a maverick, aren't I?
Okay, and there it is, everybody. Verification, finally, because he's never actually said it before, that the word that is key is in the poem. I've always thought it was, personally, but some people haven't. And I think a lot of that comes from because he said contentment is the key word. He said before imagination is key. And those things may be true, but it's not in relation to the poem and finding the treasure chest. The word that we should be in tight focus with, it is, in fact, in the poem. What do you guys think? What do you think, Jono?
Well, for me, it's quite obvious, isn't it? It wipes out contentment and all those sort of things that might make some people unhappy, but it's pretty clear to me that it's in the poem. absolutely. I mean, there's something else he says in there that I could find quite interesting, but it's good to finally know.
Right. I think that's what we've been waiting. At least we got something out of him. What do you think, K-Pro?
I think there's a couple things. I don't think he necessarily is saying, okay, when he said contentment is the key, I think he said that is the key of life. I don't think it's the key word of how to crack this poem.
Exactly.
I think what he's saying is how to crack the poem. There is one word that helps more than others. I want to dive into that because I really want Jono and yours opinion. The second thing is, I think he really has said at a whole different level, or maybe this is the first time I really understand it, it's a noun. The key word is a noun. In my opinion, the key word is a noun and it's in the poem. Some people have already said that that quote right there does not mean that the key word is in the poem. Everybody's going to take their interpretation. This is why it's so important to have Forrest words.
To play it.
We are not saying, and Mike said this on one of the Facebooks, we are not saying what our conclusion is the right one. We are saying we asked a question of Forrest and he answered it about the key word because everybody's going to interpret this differently. Forrest has said the first hint or the first clue is where warm water's halt. And people have said, no, it's not. He didn't say that. And he said that in the exact words, in my opinion. So,
all right. People are already asking for us to play it over again. So go ahead and finish and we'll play it again.
Let's play it over again. And then this is the question that I have for Jono first and then Mike is, do you believe it's a noun? And do you believe it's in the poem? Those are my two questions. Or maybe, is it in the poem and is it a noun? Those are my two questions.
All right. I think it's important to listen to what Cynthia asks him. So let's play it again.
You have been very generous, both of you, with your time.
Can I ask one question, Forrest? Just one? Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Do you still believe there's a word that is key that searchers should focus on?
Yes.
And is that word in the poem?
You said one question.
Then you ask it, Christy. Is that word in the poem?
May I ask a
I'm so
question?
far ahead of these guys.
Yes. Cynthia wanted to ask something.
May I ask a question? Is that word in the poem?
Now, that was two questions. You asked if you could ask a question. What was the question?
And you thought I was bad.
I take you literally. What's your question?
Is the key word in the poem?
Well, that's what he asked me.
No, he asked you if there is one, and you said yes. My question is it in the poem?
There's one word that will help you more than some of the others
In the poem.
in the poem.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. That's pretty big for searchers.
So, and the way I heard it, what she said is the key word in the poem. And he said there's a word that will help you more than the others. And then I think it was I said in the poem. And he said yes, in the poem. So everybody can take what they want.
That's the first question. And then the second question is, do you believe it's a noun?
I do believe it's a noun, only because those are person, place, or thing. I think it is a noun, but that clip I don't think would help us determine if it's a noun or not. Now we could look at other things Forrest has said.
Wait. We need to hear from Jono.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jono.
So I'm going to give some examples in a bit. I don't think it is a noun necessarily.
Okay.
It might be. I don't think it is. I think what it does rule out, the tone of it, rules out it being some sort of keyword used in some sort of cryptic way. I think it genuinely is used to make the riddle. I mean, I've got a theory on this. So when he says that the clues look like just normal words, but it took me ages to write these things, I think the keyword is what makes it the riddle. So we know that warm waters means warm waters. He said enough about that. So I think it's one of the other words that makes it the riddle. And I think there's a bit of a theme actually through it. There's something that he said to Cynthia once as well, where he said that nearly every line has a word that is key. And that's something on Cynthia's blog and in Cynthia's book, which everyone should purchase. It's an amazing book.
I told her to bring them to the World Series of Fenn.
Absolutely. But yeah, almost every line has a word that's key. I think that this is my latest thing, that there's some literal words and then there's a word which makes it the riddle. and I'll come on to try and have a look at what I think it is in a bit. But yeah.
I'd like to give a little bit of context. I'm going to talk a little slow because maybe that'll help the echo. This is the only question that spans outside, as I recall, spans outside. We had a very regimented interview situation. I wasn't supposed to be the interviewee. I became the interviewee. And then there were several questions that Forrest would not answer, and this was one of them early on. And the one thing I was coached about is when he will not answer, he will not answer, he will not answer, do not press because it'll shut down the interview. So this was actually the very last question on Forrest's segment before we moved to a joint segment at the end. So it was Douglas first, Forrest second, and then a joint one at the end. And the reason I said you thought I was bad is because everybody remembers those secret audios heard around the world that I was yelling at Forrest. I felt they kind of tag teamed him, and they did, and that's what got this particular quote that some have thought is, some of you are saying this is huge, some of you are saying this is a nothing burger, and everywhere in between. This is the fun part of that. So everybody's going to take their interpretation, but Mike, go ahead.
I'll just say in my defense, at least I asked him, can I ask a question? I didn't say, just ask it. Tell me, Forrest, what is,
No, you screamed at him, you yelled at him, you're a bully. It's terrible. I can't believe you and Cynthia, you jerks.
Now, I mean, the clip, it's interesting, and people are going to tear it apart, and they're going to say, well, he really meant this, he really meant that. But all I'll say is that I pointed out, is there still a word that is key that searchers should be in focus with? He said yes. And then Cynthia asked him, is that word in the poem? He's not going to switch topics, and he's not going to, I don't believe he's going to switch topics and all of a sudden talk about a different word. He's talking about the same word. And he says, yes, it's in the poem.
And he thought that you asked that as well, didn't he?
What's that?
He said to Cynthia that Mike's already asked that, so he thought you meant in the poem when he said yes.
Yeah, and then we got him to actually say the words, yes, it's in the poem. Yeah, and that's the key, because everybody thought it was a book and The Thrill of the Chase, or Contentment, or Imagination, some people. But, if that kills your solve because your solve was based around a word that's not in the poem, well, at least you have this information. What you do with it is up to you. So at least we've narrowed the word that is key down to 166 words. Well, there's 166 words in the poem. I don't know how many are duplicated, but
no, because Zapster says I know the key word, so I'm enjoying Forrest dodge. So there's some secret Fenn speak that means it is not in the poem. Okay, so here's the next question that I have before we move on to other analysis.
Okay, so real quick, though, because there's people in the room that are like, who was the first video? So the first video we played was Douglas Preston. It's a friend of Forrest. He was there. We interviewed them together, just so everybody knows. We interviewed them together. After we did the interview with Forrest, Douglas then made that comment that we played, which was, there's been something that Forrest said in that chair that's never been said before. I believe it was that Forrest verified the word that is key is in the poem. But I think, Christy, you may have a different opinion. But that's, your opinion. I think that this is what he was referring to. But as we play these clips every Monday, you guys will make up your own decision. Do you think that's what Douglas Preston was referring to or not?
Yes, that's a great synopsis. So the thing that I wanted to make clear, when some of you think that Forrest was bullied at this part of the interview, I was the one that said, you thought I was bad. The other people in that video is Mike. He's pretty unique in his voice. So, and then Cynthia. So send the hate mail to them. I was the one defending Forrest. And then there is a part that he said, I'm a maverick, and Mike cut it off. I did call him something different right after that. No, you do not need to share that, Mike. But I did say, no, I think you're something different.
So, and I don't know if this is true, but Davio saying because of the echo, you might have two windows open of the same thing. I don't know if that's true. Oh, he's saying that might be the echo. Possibly.
Hold on, if this is true. Okay, try again.
Is that better, anybody? Go ahead, talk, April.
Hold on, this is true. Can you hear me now without the echo?
Is that better, anybody? Let me play it here.
Hold on, if this is true. Can you hear me now without the echo?
Is that better, anybody? Let me play it here.
Echo's still there.
Yeah, it sounds the same. But anyway, okay, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
So, yeah, so it's interesting. It's interesting also that he says there's one that will help you more than the others, right? That's the word that is key. But then he says, but you need all of them. One won't take you there. Isn't that what he said? What do you think he meant by that?
Okay, so here's my opinion, and I totally want Jono's thoughts on this. I believe he has said the most difficult clue is WWWH. So I believe the most important word that we're all overlooking, because he says it so many times, must be in relation to WWWH, which means there's kind of multi parts here, which means it has to be in the first stanza or the second stanza, first line. What do you think about that, Jono?
I agree. I've got some slides on that as well. I have a theory about that. Do you know what? That bit he says, though, but you've got to have all of them. One is not going to take you there. He's talking about a word that's key when he says one is not going to take you there. See, I've mixed that with when he said to Cynthia, if there's anyone I trust to capture what Forrest has said accurately, it's Cynthia. And when she says that he has said almost every line has a word that is key, I think he's referring potentially to the other key words, one per line, perhaps. I mean, he could mean just you need all the words in the poem. I mean, that's interesting in itself, isn't it? He says that only a few you don't need to use. But this time he's saying you need to use all the words. So he either means all the words in the poem or all the key words. It's an interesting quote in itself.
Is it possible that he meant clues? Is it possible when he said one won't take you there, meaning you need all 9 clues, but the one key word relates to one clue?
Yeah, he could have. And if he does mean that, of course, then it confirms what Caper is saying, in that it's in beginning where one water's halt.
Or maybe
like
the first
scenarios
stanza, right, to help you with where warm water's halt. I mean, if that's the hardest clue, and he said that, where warm water's halt is the hardest clue, and there's a word that is key that we're supposed to focus on, wouldn't it mean it helps you solve where warm water's halt?
Yeah.
I think
the way I see it, it's almost like you've got 9 clues. It's like 9 boxes with locks. There's no point having the key to the one inside. You could have all 8 keys inside. You can't get the outside box open. You can't solve the thing. So if this is a key word that opens it up, then it's got to be to do with the first clue.
I like that. 9 boxes with 9 lock boxes. I like the analogy, yeah. I believe, also that it helps with the first clue. Whether that gets you to the state or it lets you identify what the warm waters are and you figure out where they halt. Now, somebody in the chat said maybe the word that is key can be both a verb and a noun, which is the word halt. I think that's important. I think that's important to know what he means by that word. But I don't know about the noun thing, K-Pro. And I know we were talking about that. I'm trying now to remember why we were talking about nouns. Is that because of a different part of the interview or no? Because in this clip, he doesn't say the word noun at all.
No, he doesn't. I think he has said it elsewhere and he said it previously, but it wasn't anything new. Whatever he said is previously.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it would make sense for it to be a noun, because it's like a description of a place. And then Michael Hull, I saw, said, one word is capitalized. Could that be it? But Michael, you said that Forrest Fenn has a favorite word. No, he didn't say that. He just said there's a word that will help you more than the others, which is the word that is key, because that's what we were talking about. Those are the 2 questions that went toward him. Should we play the clip one more time for anybody that still wants to quibble about it? Huh?
Let's ask the room.
All right. What do you guys think? We can also
I still have some additional thoughts, but
Oh, well, go ahead. And then Lori James says the nouns are important. Forrest has said that. The nouns are important, right?
Okay, and I've had 3 or 4 people today ask me on first week's clues. Last week, can you ask him some additional questions? And some people asking me, can you ask him for additional clarifications? Right now, we are in cutting room floor mode. The only thing that I'm focusing on is documentary mode. Jenny and Dale would be great people to ask those questions. I'm not going to focus on additional explanations because The only reason we're sharing this is think of how many interviews are out there that these kind of things are on their floor. We're just sharing what we have. We're not looking to dig in more because this has already been shown as not making the documentary. It would be disingenuous for me to follow up. I might need to follow up on something that he said that's making the documentary. Can you only imagine what's going to be in the documentary? Because one of our sub-themes is absolutely in relation to searchers and things that would be of interest to searchers. So I'm not going to be following up with him, but Jenny and Dale are long-standing people. Jenny just put out some featured words this morning or last night. So in my opinion, I believe first stanza or first line of WWWH. I tend to focus on WWWH because he keeps saying it so much, we're missing something obvious. So do I think it's like halt? Somebody said earlier they thought it's halt. I don't know. People are saying I need an executive producer to go through all the cutting room floor. No, we already have that, but I thank you very much. Why didn't he just say yes? That's coming from Denise, because that's Forrest. Forrest doesn't say yes or no to anything. I think this is more definitive than many things. You're going to see some clips because I have a list of other clips. We have probably several months of Mondays that will come up. He was more ambiguous with some others. He actually said the word yes in this one, which I found fascinating.
Must Listen Good says, look, the key word is contentment. Nothing has changed. I am content and continuing to believe this. The key word is contentment when you're talking about your life. When you're talking about the poem, the key word is in the poem. Those are two separate word that is key and key word. Those are two separate things.
But here's
in my
question.
opinion.
Do you find that in the poem somewhere? Maybe it's a metaphorical word. Maybe is there a reason, I don't remember who you said, for a person who just said that, just like some people say, where warm waters hold is not the first clue. Someone that says the key word is not contentment. I just heard the exact opposite. So help me understand maybe a little bit of what you're talking about, because it doesn't logically hit me to say that.
As to how it could be the key word, contentment?
Yeah, how is the key word contentment, or the word that we are not, where we are focused? There's a difference between the key word and the word that we're all focusing on, not focusing on, that is key to solve this poem.
And that word, he said, the treasure may be found sooner than I expected. So that's why that word is important. But way back in 2013, he made the comment, contentment is the key word.
Right.
And he's talking about your life. He's talking about how you live your life. He wasn't talking about in relation to finding the treasure, in my opinion. People are going to think what they want.
So Ryan asked, how long do you project the documentary to be, or project? We're working, there's going to be some travel to particular people within the storyline, and I believe it's going to be end of this year, early next year, and then spring is going to be final development. Depending on how that process goes, it'll be spring/summer when all that kind of hits the next level.
AJ Rainville points out that peace is a synonym of contentment. So in the poem, when he says take the chest and go in peace, I don't know how the word peace, to me, here's another question for everybody. What does tight focus mean? When Forrest Fenn says there's searchers that are in tight focus with the word that is key, to me that means definition. To be in tight focus with a word means you look at the different definitions and you figure out what the correct definition is. What's it mean to you two?
Jono?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. You've just reminded me, actually, I need to quickly look up the definition of the word I'm going to propose. Because it does apply, yeah.
I want to say simplify. So look up this word to look up this word that might be in the poem, if it's this word or that word. Simplify. He just said the key word's in the poem. In my opinion, the key word's in the poem. Find it in the poem. That's what I heard. So we can start to say, well, contentment's not in the poem. So if you say contentment, that's a synonym to this, that's an antonym to this, that is kind of related to that. And if you find it on 63 on page this, and then look on the periodic table for that, you can find it within the poem. That seems rather complicated to me. To me, he has said the keyword's in the poem. Now, some of you disagree. I know it. And that's okay, because neither of us have let's show each other we're wrong, and one of us find it. I just think it's fun to have some Forrest words.
And then, Jono, we're going to go into what you wanted to talk about, whether it's the solve or whatever you wanted to share and go over. But I want to play the clip one more time in its entirety, because I did clip it a minute ago. But I will say, what you can't disagree on is Forrest actually says in that clip there is a word that is more important than the others. And we say, is it in the poem? He says, yes, it's in the poem. Now, if you don't think that word is the word that is key, I don't understand why you would not think.
He didn't say kinda. He didn't say maybe. He didn't say let me think about it. He used very few words. He said yes or no. That is one. He said yes. And if you hear Cynthia in the background, she says yes. And let me give you, I hope we have it in video. She's like, yes. I mean, she's a whole different level of yes. But Forrest says yes.
And Asset Marketing says, if you read The Thrill of the Chase, he writes several times, knowledge is key. Correct, but not to finding the treasure chest. Knowledge is key in your business. Knowledge is key if you're writing a book. You know what I mean? It's all about context. He said different words are key, different times, as answers to different questions. In this clip, we're specifically asking him about the word that is key. Is it in the poem? And he says yes. So let's play it. Everybody can decide for themselves. Here we go, one more time.
And then over to Jono.
Yeah, then Jono. Then it's you, all you.
You have been very generous, both of you, with your time.
Can I ask one question, Forrest? Just one? Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Do you still believe there's a word that is key that searchers should focus on?
Yes.
And is that word in the poem?
You said one question.
Then you ask it, Christy. Is that word in the poem?
May I ask a
I'm so
question?
far ahead of these guys.
Yes. Cynthia wanted to ask something.
May I ask a question? Is that word in the poem?
Now, that was two questions. You asked if you could ask a question. Was the question.
And you thought I was bad.
I take you literally. What's your question?
Is the key word in the poem?
Well, that's what he asked me.
No, he asked you if there is one, and you said yes. My question is it in the poem?
There's one word that will help you more than some of the others
In the poem.
in the poem.
All right, thank you, Forrest. That's pretty big for searchers.
But you got to have all of them. One is not going to take you there. Well, I've been asked 100 times, which is the most important clue in the poem? It's so obvious to me the most important clue is the last one, because you're holding the treasure.
Mike,
Could you
it
say
just
any of
froze.
the other clues are more important than that one?
Oh, great. Man, you know, let's see if you refresh it.
I agree
No,
with
I
the
still
room.
got it.
Is Forrest Fenn taking down our chat
I'm
or
telling you.
our video?
So, what I heard was there's one word that's more important than the others. It's in the poem. And then he says, but one won't get you there. Do you take it away, Jono?
Right. See if I can share this then. You tell me if you can see this.
Yes, we can see that.
Lovely. Right. Okay. So what I wanted to do was take the idea of there being a word that's key, give a proposal for what I think that is, and then set up some theory on using the book to work out where one water's hole is, essentially. So we'll see how that goes. Bear with me. I'm going to flip between maps and very, very bad PowerPoint slides. So, okay, so we've got the poem, and we've heard what Forrest has just said. I'm going to make some sweeping decisions that you may not agree with, but this is where I'm going. So I think that, like with the lockbox in the lockbox in the lockbox, the keyword can't be in any of the other clues. And we know from what Forrest has said that these are the lines that make up the other clues, something we've already learned this year. I also think that it's potentially in any of the other bits, but I'm going to focus on the first clue, a bit like what Chris is saying. I think he makes a big deal out of it. This is where opening the whole poem starts, so beginning where one water's hole. So I'm going to look at each word and see which one and why it could be the keyword or not. So let's start with begin. I think each thing has a purpose. And
it actually scrolled up. It scrolled up. It's down in the white of where you're at.
Oh.
Yeah. Whatever you had. You were on the poem, and then it went all the way down to white. Scrolled down. I don't know if you wanted to go back up or not.
Oh, no. Can you see that one?
No, all we see is white. All we see is white. That's it.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
There we go. Now we're back. Oh, now it's white. There we go. Now we can see it. We're back at begin it where warm water's halt.
Right, okay. Crikey. Okay, so begin, I think its purpose is just to begin the clues. So I don't think it's this one. Dead simple, that one. We know where warm waters is literal.
Bump it back up.
You said enough.
Oh. There we go. Good.
You see that again. Perhaps I need to clear heat down. Does it follow my mouse? Is that what's happening? I wonder.
I think so. Yes, I think it is.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. That might be helpful. Okay, so we know where warm water is literal. So I don't think it's that. And then I think it has a different purpose. So I think later in the poem, I don't know if you can see this, I've done it tired. Mm-hmm. I think that's him just saying, whatever it is, he's done it in the car. And we've got it for begin it and take it in the canyon down. I know we've used things like not far but too far to walk to suggest that it's driving, but I think he's a bit more prescriptive here, saying I've done it tired, and it up here means I'm driving at this point. So I don't think it's it, which only leaves halt. So I think halt's the keyword.
Yep.
I don't know how much of this you can see on screen. I think it's because I've got high resolution. But this is the straight from Cynthia's blog, where Forrest said to her that almost every line has a word that's key. So this, back to what I was saying before, this is my theory now, that you've got some literal content, and then you've got a word that makes it the riddle. And I think that for each line, that could be the case. So I'm going to switch a little bit now just to set up what I'm going to say about where I think where warm water's halt is. So another clue, I think, the answers I all read, I think is pointing to there's something to do with literature with each of the clues. Important literature I'll come into in a minute. And the fact that he calls it important, I think he's really throwing that at us and saying this is a key chapter, and literature books are key. We know he said that I think kids have an advantage in finding the treasure, but don't ask me to explain. Bear that in mind. He's also said that a 15-year-old wrote that poem. He also says that he threw Catcher in the Rye in the trash on top of time, and I take from that's once upon a time. And I think he's starting to tell stories. He says you have to learn where warm waters halt, and I think he tells us a lot about how he didn't learn a lot in school, but he did learn a lot, and through his love of reading. So I think we should learn by reading. Forrest rejects the adult books in important literature, for whom the bell tolls and Great Gatsby. I think there's a big bias, maybe not a theme for the whole thing, but for certainly some of the clues, that's to do with children's books or stories that are important and really key to this. So,
like a fairy tale almost?
Yeah, or just books.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that Once Upon a While is suggesting it's a kid's story thing as well. So, on page 9, and please do follow along if you've got the book, when I came back from the search this season, I wanted to go through TTOTC for the 50th time or something with the experience of where we were searching. And everything that stood out before, but I didn't really understand why it was important, started to make a little bit more sense. I think this is the most important chapter. So I'm going to draw a conclusion on this. In this bit, it says, just as I was about to ask the little girl about at the computer about the authors, she raised her coffee cup to take a sip, and I swear that cup all but covered her whole face. I thought maybe she was trying to hide.
Go back up.
Anyway, when she finished sipping, she gave me a nice smile that made me feel better and asked me to please follow her. She regaled me with reasons why we were so lucky to have great books in our lives. I already knew the no sales versions and so on. So the key things here: little girl, The cup almost all but covered her whole face. And the fact that she makes him feel better and make him smile, and regaled or regal is the key bit there. Now on to page 10. So previously he said the little girl, now he says the little lady. So he's using female terms here in a different word. That little lady probably knew where every book was in that whole store, and when we arrived at that exact spot, she pulled down 2 books and just handed them to me and walked away, tossing her thick braids back and forth like they had purpose. She didn't even say goodbye or anything. I noticed that she really felt proud because I could see it in her strut, and it was obvious that she'd graduated from a good school somewhere. So here, the little lady... exact spot starts to make me think that that's either the end spot or the start spot. And he's told us that you have to get to the first clue, and then the puzzle takes you to the end. So I think it means the starting point. And let's see where we go with that. I don't know if you have these. I think you have these in America. Mr. Men books. Do you have those?
What's it called?
Mr. Men books. Mr. Men books. So these
at least me, I'm not familiar with it.
You asked me, and I looked it up, and everywhere I tried to buy it, it would only give it to me in pounds. So I don't think so.
Right, okay. I think it's an old-fashioned book, but it apparently was massive worldwide.
Okay.
Apparently, but the Little Miss books are a bit different. Now, it might seem a bit obscure. But imagine Forrest is working his way back from his special place, and he's trying to get us to a certain point, maybe a parking lot or something. He's got to use what's on that map, because he's told us, use a good map, use TTOC, solve the clues, and marry them all together. So he's looking at words, and he's thinking, what can I use here as a clue? So, if you remember, the coffee cup all but covered her face. Right. So I immediately thought of this.
You actually put a coffee cup on.
I put a coffee cup on there. So the huge coffee cup covering the face. You remember the thick braids that were on there? So you can see them, hopefully. And this is the front cover of the book, Little Miss Sunshine. And they made a film, I think, after a real-life film as well. But Little Miss Sunshine. The other thing is, in this book, one of the first things when I thought of Holt was almost 2 years ago now, like a soldier at a gate, a castle gate,
the Queen's
saying
Guard,
Holt.
yeah.
Who goes there? That was the first thing that came to mind. Is either the water stops or it's a riddle and it halts. So when I found this book and found the contents of it, obviously that confirmation bias kicks in. But there's a soldier saying Holt. To come in, doesn't say halt, he asks us to stop. So that was really good as well. If you remember, she regal. It's about her going and making a king smile and be happy. If you remember, she made him happy as well. So there's a number of hits with this particular book, and it also happens to match with the area I'm in as well, so that's really good. So Little Miss Sunshine. So I'm going to go to the map for this bit, I think. I can come out of this. So the particular search area where we've been, I'm just going to quickly zoom out first. I don't know if you can see this red border.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So this for me is borders. Okay. So anything in here, if you remember, he says that all the world is a stage. I think Forrest uses the whole area as a stage, and different stories are played out on this stage, and this is one of them. So this is Borders, and everything inside here is the Borders shop. In here you've got Sunlight Creek, and you've also got Little Sunlight Creek. So you've got Little Miss Sunshine, and if you remember, he used Little Lady, but he didn't say Miss. But that was the next one on the list. So you've got Little Miss Sunshine. What I looked at here as well is he talks about the borderline biddies, and the border line doesn't move. So I take that line that's just going very straight there as it's not moving for some breathtaking scenery that links in with that quote as well. And then it starts moving again. And originally I thought where it starts moving, it crosses here with the border crossing Little Sunlight Creek, and that's the confluence of another creek as well. What I think it is now is because I'm a firm believer in Forrest using the right map, and this is CalTopo, the 7.5 map, similar to the ones that you guys had, the ones that Forrest had. I think he uses things on here, whether it be numbers in the grid cells or the names of things you see. When I was looking at this, there's a key thing here called Dewey's Gateway. And the first thing that came to mind was Huey, Dewey, and Louie, the ducks. So I immediately searched to see if he'd ever talked about ducks, and like with a number of the best scrapbooks, they were out in 2014, 2015. He does actually have a scrapbook where he talks about ducks. So Tail End Charlie is the third duck, and he's I don't know if you can see this, so named because of the birth defect that. Defected left leg that slows him to half a normal waddling gait. So Dewey's Gate. So if I go back to that there, Dewey's Gateway, and he's done a nice little thing. So I loved that when I saw that. I thought it was really good. And then I went and looked to see. So he's got a defect. He's got a waddling gait. Is there a definition of halt that might help with that? So there is a definition of halt: having a manner of walking that's impaired by a limp. Is one of them, and that happens to be an adjective, but I still think this three hits gives a good likelihood for certain things. So let me see where I am with this here. Yeah, so that for me is either in the gateway there, where warm waters halt, or somewhere along Sunlight Creek. And the one thing I wanted to show you here is, because obviously I'm looking for warm water then, there's some key thermal areas here, and there's some key springs, which there's old documentation that shows that this is warm water. There's hot water as well here. So it's all going into Sunlight Creek. So at a point, Sunlight Creek is warm. And then I'm saying it's a riddle that it halts at the gateway. And there's some confirmers in the scrapbooks.
And you've been here, right? You've been boots on the ground here?
I've been here. I've been here with Cynthia. There's loads. There's tens and tens of confirmers and things that hit here I haven't seen in other areas. You've got the 7D ranch here, which is prayed for D's. There is one more thing here just to show. I don't want to go into the tens and tens of things. There are loads here, but one of the things I really like is on this ranch here, it's clutching strings a little bit, this one, but the marbles from the scrapbook line up perfectly with three of the houses there. I don't know if you can see that.
Well, let's go back for a second, because Jono, you started this whole thing based on that children's book.
Yeah.
Do you have any evidence or connection between Forrest and those? It's like, are those authored by Eric Sloan, or like something that connects them exactly, or kind of?
So the way I took it, imagine if we go over here and the treasure's located here, and I've got to get. I'm Forrest, and I'm thinking, right, what can I use here that gets people out? Okay, right, I can get them to go along this river. I can go, Strawberry Gulch, that's interesting. I can use that, Burnt Gulch. And then Little Sunlight Creek. If you knew of that book, you might think Little Sunshine, Little Miss Sunshine. I certainly did when I saw that.
But what does Forrest have that connects that can help us? Because he says the average redneck. So we're looking at a guy in Texas with 12 kids. And I do have to give you props, because I will tell you, Cynthia rarely responds. She responds to most searchers. She rarely goes boots on the ground. You and I, she has gone boots on the ground with. She's trying to woo Mike, but we haven't gone boots on the ground. But she actually went with your family because she did believe in your solve. So I know there's stuff you're not showing, but the one misconnect for me is there any evidence that brings those two worlds together? So
I don't think there's anything in the real world with Forrest, no. So for later clues, I think there's a bit of a theme, because I use the children's stories for other clues as well. And so my thought on this is, all these stories that the average redneck knows just because they've read stories. They're so well known. That's the only thing. So there's a danger here with this one that perhaps it isn't, unless you. I think there are other things that get you here, if that makes sense. So I didn't get here from that. There are other things that get you here,
When
and
were
then
these
in
books
looking,
published, Lisa Smith would know.
they're a long time ago. I
Oh,
think maybe
okay.
60,
That actually,
yeah.
I like that answer. Yeah,
Would
yeah.
you
Yeah.
would you consider the books specialized knowledge?
See, I went to and fro on that because I think he's saying important literature. It's kids,
Right.
and literature is important. So then, because he says in I don't know if it's a recent one. He says you find, what's he say? Find the location on the map and then research it or something like that. He says.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, I'm looking all here and I'm thinking, what words have I got that I can go and research it and try and find something. I think there's more to stuff on the map. Like I say with borders, there's one more bit I forgot actually. So Dewey, do you remember he says people are just reading the books and he's a bit annoyed. It's like a bookstore, they've got to make money. Well, if you look at Dewey is a person who invented the way modern libraries work. So the way I see this is that this is the gateway to the library, and that's why people are reading, and Forrest is confused. So there are tens and tens, but the key thing for me is the hit rate on. It's almost to me like Forrest has looked at this and gone, right, okay, what have I got here? Right, so there's a brown house here actually in Lee City. It's really interesting. Here's a creek here. Here's a creek here. There's loads of things, and if you look at Cynthia's video of when we went, she goes through a lot of her bits that she had way before. She had them last year, so I've come along and contributed a load, and we've merged it all together. But there's loads in here that have a hit rate. It's an interesting area to have a look at. But yeah, I think he's talking about children's books. So the question then is, are they the books that perhaps the children of a redneck would be reading? I mean, I'll give you one more. Three Little Pigs comes into it. So that's quite well known. That's not specialized
and when you
knowledge.
said little lady
So, yeah.
and little girl, as far as in the Borders chapter, I thought of Little Red Riding Hood or, Little Red Riding Hood is who I thought of.
Yeah. One more bit, I think Cynthia's got it in hers. I don't know if you can see here. That looks a bit like a little foot. And this one here looks a bit like a big foot. So Cynthia's thought on it was that you dip your toe, you dip in this toe into this river. So that's what he means by that. But the only issue is this is a colder river, but there's a
where's your WWWH? Where did you say your WWWH?
So,
or did you?
Well, so when he says thick braids, like it's got a purpose, and she just sort of goes. I think he's saying the river, and she just goes. That's why she doesn't stop, because it's the river going. So it's either Little Sunlight Creek and the confluence here, just at the gateway, or that's just a confirmer, because there's so many other confirmers in the surrounding area.
Okay, well, this is what I do when people send me their solves. Here's the questions I ask. What's your WWH? And when you dip your toe in it, is it warm?
So this here, can you see Gas Creek here? Cynthia might kill me for this one, but I'm sure she'll forgive me. Gas Creek, we touched this, and it felt tepid.
Okay, can you tepid might be a very common word over the pond.
Sorry.
No, just tell us in general. Okay, so I was in Ojo Caliente, and here's what I did. Here's Ojo Caliente over here. And actually, I was with several female searchers, and all the guys were on the shore. I'll just say, well, except one, and he was brave, with us. Over here, cold. Over here, maybe what you consider kind of medium. By the time I got over here, literally, I had at least first degree burns. So when you, and this was probably a 20-foot area. So
I remember Ojo Caliente because I went right where it went in, and it falls off really quickly.
Yeah,
there's not that big an area where you'd call it warm. And that's where I started thinking the whole thing around kids touching the bronze and they didn't know whether it's cold or not, whether, it was relative. But all of it, we touched lots of water. It was all freezing cold, except for Gas Creek, which felt, I wouldn't say, oh, wow, that's really warm, but it was certainly significantly hotter in temperature than any of the other water around there. And that there are geological publications from years ago that talk about the warm water that comes in here. These springs are warm water springs as well. I think the key is that he's going to find something that you can't find easily on the map. I think the springs there, they're not going to have a name. It's too obvious then. But I think you have to get to an area where you can at least be checking the water, and it has to.
So let me ask you: in the dead of winter, I will say the most impressive WWWH I have seen, and he is in the room tonight, and I will not give your secrets away. In the dead of winter, it was a very hot area, obviously, because it was still rolling. Yep. In this area, when you say it's tepid, is that the case when it is in the dead of winter?
So down here it probably isn't, but if you see these thermal areas, they're reportedly hot. It's just
so there is bubbling water that comes out during the winter, year round, 12 months out of the year.
It's probably like at the bottom of Ojo Caliente, where it's all sort of orange coloured and it's just about to hit the water. It's probably like that, just up there. And then by the time it's at the bottom, it's, as I say, tepid. I can't think of a better word. It's not warm, as you'd say warm.
Tepid room temperature? I've always thought tepid is room temperature.
Yeah. It's room temperature. If you think
much like when someone enjoys a bath. I have to tell you, I enjoy a bath at almost scalding. Like, it has to be so hot, it's hard to get into, and then I just chill for a while. Some people like, I think what you're trying to define, more tepid, and it gets cold rather quickly, but it's something you're comfortable getting into, but it gets colder quickly.
You could get into
right?
it, and it wouldn't warm you up. It'd keep you the same temperature. Whereas the rest of it, you'd be like, oh my God, it's freezing.
Okay.
It was a bit like that.
So it's not cold. It's not freezing. It's not cold, and it's not like, it's more towards that upper echelon. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this has travelled quite a distance to become that not hot. But up here,
not hot. There you go. Not hot. The hot has the English, not hot.
So, because you're sharing this, do you guys still think this is a valid WWWH, or have you moved on?
So, I mean, the interesting thing for us is this Sunlight Creek. I mean, we can make the clues all the way up to clue 8 work, and they're really powerful. You can do it from any angle. So you can be up here, you can be all the way down there. The interesting bit was just having some confirmers there with Dewey, the library, the ducks, the books, and then there's books that apply elsewhere.
And where exactly is this? What state is it in? Sunlight Creek?
This is Wyoming. And
Wyoming, okay.
To me as well, when he says, I know it's corny to say, so why is it that I must go? I do think he's saying Wyoming. So Wyoming's the way you should go. I do think that there's more in the poem that probably gets you closer to the place as well. It's just really hard to find out. But there was one other thing I was going to say, actually, that no paddle up your creek. I mean, one of the things I wanted to sort of say here is just using the book. So we look at the poem, but really we've got to get into the book and really try and pull out these things. But no paddle up your creek, he talks about switching a lot, but he did also say you've got to choose the right hints as part of the puzzle. So I think he's put a number in, and that's part of the puzzle as well. But he only uses paddle once, and I think there's no paddle. You only don't get the paddle when you go to bed at 8 o'clock, and no later. So, and I think these numbers come into play.
Okay, Pro, we can hear you breathing on the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
So if you see 8 here on there,
right?
I think he's saying, there's no paddle if you go there. Because you've gone to bed at 8 o'clock. I think he really is talking in riddle like that.
Oh, like when he got paddled. Oh, see, that's interesting. Okay, I see what you're saying. 'Cause a lot of people have said, "Was no paddle up your creek mean?" What about the paddle that was in the thrill of the chase? Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
And what if all the clues are relatable like that from the thrill of the chase? Yeah.
I think you need to use the map more. And I think the danger is you've got the right one for that to apply. And then the only other thing there you can see is 101. Street smarts, as he talks about stuff. But there's loads around there. But yeah. This particular one was.
How far is this from Matitsi, Wyoming? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know.
Look it up.
I do know.
Sunlight Creek,
that there's one key bit that's about 54 miles from Cody. I think he says something like the west entrance to Yellowstone is 54 miles, but it's not, or something like that. And then this area is. So there's loads of bits like that. But yeah, there's more powerful things again. But I think Cynthia would probably kill me. If I'm into
It's
them,
about
so.
2 hours away. About a 2-hour drive. I was just wondering because the whole anagram line, the Matisse pitchfork.
Oh, well, wait a minute.
What?
I think Jono is in, am I wrong? Wyoming, like me, and Mike and Cynthia are in Montana. Am I wrong?
I'm anywhere a warm waters halt. It works is found. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Cynthia's in a lot of places, I think.
Yeah. Somebody was like, "You
And
just gave Cynthia
I've
salt."
heard she's going back to New Mexico.
She probably is.
Now, so Lika Lee just asked, would you say water changing temperature is warm water halting?
It could be. I mean, I thought that this break in the thermal areas could have been it originally. I thought originally as well sunlight was warm and little sunlight, and the plural waters meant the confluence of those two. I'm convinced that it really is warm water now, and I don't think.
Wait, now
it's
is
warm
Strawberry
water.
Gulch near here?
Yes.
Okay, that was the. Do you guys remember the scrapbook that says he loved it? Like something about huckleberries and Strawberry Gulch. Cynthia lost her mind when that came out. She's like, I just was at Strawberry Gulch, and we did a show.
Absolutely.
This was
Have you seen in the book where he mentions strawberry though? And either side of the, just above and just below, it says homemade, and it kind of sandwiches in strawberry. So I don't,
Okay, so we're at about 8 minutes after, and I've got somewhere I got to be. But what I would suggest is if you two want to keep it going, K-Pro, you could maybe do an after party or something. It's up to you, though, if you want to.
Don't know how to cut off the stream.
No, I'm going to end it. I'm going to end everything. What I'm saying is you could go live if you want to on your own, but that's up to you. But
can we just wrap
let's
up
do a
tonight?
wrap up.
No,
Yeah.
I'm fine wrapping up tonight, and then we'll be on Thursday to do. I don't think we need to do these marathons over. We have a long winter ahead, so I think we just focus on. Jono, I think it's fabulous that you have shared actually content, which is fabulous.
We do have a question. Ryan Matthews says, "What kind of land is that on? BLM, forest land?"
Shoshone National Forest.
Okay,
which is the best land to be on.
National Forest. Okay. And then we will show the clip again at the end. There's still people that are like, play it again. So we will play it again before we head out. Go ahead, wrap it up.
So, but here's the things that I will give, because actually I'm going to give the story tonight. That's it. So when Jono talked about children's books, I can tell you that I met Zoe, I met Kelly, I met many people in his family. I will say, and even Shiloh. I will say that I was there when Piper turned, I think it was 16. And she came in, and Forrest went from a storyteller to, I felt like he was like a kid at the candy store and she was the candy. You could just tell, I think like a lot of grandparents, he absolutely adored her and he wanted some time with her. And I think it was Cynthia and I don't remember who was there with me. Mike, it might have been you. I don't remember who, but it was like, he's like, do you want to do some flies? She was getting ready to go on a fly. Yeah. And I just remember the sparkle in his eye. Like I had not seen at that same level. And he just lit up. It was so fun to see. And I kind of equate that to what Jono's story was tonight. And Jono's story was about kids, little kids. And I think maybe he looks back and you look at what I think might be the double omegas of Zoe and Kelly with the two pictures of them in TTOTC. And I look at what he thinks probably of Piper right now, even though she was 16 and you could tell she was kind of becoming a woman type, she still was like a kid at heart. She was talking about, I'm going out and I'm going to do some flies and I'm going fly fishing. And you could just see Grandpa beaming. And when you were talking about the different things, I don't know if it equates at all, but there's facets to Forrest. When he talks about his time with Eric or with his dad or with his kids, his family, Peggy, etc., I had not really seen the Piper connection or the grandkids he talks about himself at 13. I hadn't seen him really adoring. He had that twinkle in his eye. I'd never seen him go quiet. He went quiet and he was like, well, what about this and what about that? And she gave some stories I won't repeat, but she gave some stories that were just so cool. And Grandpa was up beaming. I do think I got a little bit of feedback. I do think parents adore kids, but I think grandparents adore kids at a whole different level because this is their 2.0. My dad is a hardcore kind of militant type person. And now it's like M&M's for breakfast. He'd I don't know this person. He just is sweet. So when I look at, I don't know what Forrest, what that looked like as kids, but I can tell you there was some admiration. So anyway, I thought that related. So I wanted to say that. So we're going to definitely show, but do we want to tease it all? So what are we doing on Thursday, Michael?
Thursday, we're going to talk about the word that is key. Now that we figured it out, at least we know it's in the poem. So I say we look at the poem and start to look at the words that could possibly be. There's one that will help you more than the others. I mean, what does he mean by that? How does it help? How does it help us? What does tight focus mean? Those kind of things. And Thursday, we will take phone calls. So that'll be interesting.
We said that
live,
we don't
we're
have
going to take
time
phone
so
calls.
The last thing is next Monday, maybe on Thursday, we're going to give what the topic will be for Monday. And if you have some interest, we'll have to work quickly. If you have some interest to be on the show, we want to have one person, kind of like Jonah, who was fabulous tonight. We want to have someone like Jonah on and just talk a little bit about what their thoughts are on the particular topic that we have. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right now we have about 10 or so quotes that need to come out for Sync Mondays.
So I'm going to give out the phone number now so that people could call and leave a voicemail that we may or may not play on Thursday. That's at our discretion. But give us a call and let us know leave a voice message and let us know what you think about the clip that we played. Do you think the word that is key is in the poem? And your thoughts on what maybe you think the key word or word that is key, those may be two different things, what you think it is. So the number is 702-530-9260. 702-530-9260. So that will be interesting. So that'll be Thursday on the Cowlazars channel. So we will see how that goes.
Well, and ours will be a little bit different because we're not going to ask you to come in and talk about many things. We're going to talk about the particular topic at hand. You're going to have 30 seconds to give us, like tonight would have been if we would have had time. Tonight's would have been, do you agree that the keywords in the poem, what do you think it is and why? And 30 seconds goes by pretty quickly. So that's going to be kind of and then we'll try to wrap it up at about 20, 25 seconds and try to get as many people on as possible. We're not going to do multiple of your search solve is right.
Well, what'll really be fun is once we get to 1,000 subscribers on the Hint of Riches, and you can see by the number right here, right there, we're at 872. So once we get to 1,000, we'll do the marathon. And now that we can take phone calls, the marathon, I think, just got a lot more interesting. So, yeah.
I think we should do an hour of just phone calls.
I think we should have open lines, but that's me. Anything and everything related to the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt, that is.
Okay, then you need to come into AGK and see how that goes.
I don't need to do nothing. No, sorry.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Because I have a hang up button right here, and I'll just hang up on people. I mean, we reserve the right to whatever we got to do.
No, we're not going to disrespect anybody. We are just going to set some parameters that don't go outside of, I don't want a 20-minute rooster phone call.
Oh, I understand what you're saying. And also no name calling. I mean, I think we can all agree.
Well,
don't
Toby
call
doesn't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
So,
we'll figure the ground rules out as we go. That's what we do here. There's echoes. There's all kinds of
Holly's saying no one is answering. LOL. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's because it's voicemail. But they did say the echo might have been because you had something open. I don't know if that's the case or not.
I did have both my iPad and then my regular computer open. So,
all right. Well, maybe that fixed it.
Okay, so it's my fault. All things fall on the woman, fine.
When I
take
re-listen
all
to it
responsibility.
tonight, we'll see. Because
Okay.
if Jono isn't doing it, then yeah, that would narrow it down. But I don't know. I have to re-listen to it. So, Jono, thanks for coming on the show tonight. I'm surprised you
pleasure,
actually
mate.
gave out that WWWH. Cynthia was okay with you giving it out, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So don't everybody think you gave it and she doesn't know.
She's convinced that everyone's tired into their own souls, that everyone will ignore it anyway. So, and I buy that.
Yeah, right. Because we'll probably get 166 different words that are key from the poem. So
Yeah.
I want to look into how many words are duplicated. What if the word that is key is in the
Somebody
poem
said
several
it earlier.
times?
It was like there's 158 words because it is repeated and
Right.
this is repeated and that. Yeah.
And
Somebody
if there
said
is
it
a
earlier.
word that we should focus on, would it not be repeated or would it be repeated? I don't know. I just want to look at it that way and start to eliminate the duplicated words. But yeah, that'll be the Howard Stern of Forrest Fenn. Nice, Czar. I'll be over there in about an hour, so come on up.
Just wait. Okay, so if you're interested in coming on a future show that you want to be on the panel like Jonah was about a brand new quote from Forrest Fenn, email me at kpro3@aol.com, please, and we will develop that over the next, I think we have about 8 to 10 weeks of shows. Other things, and I'll just go over them quickly. We'll talk about more of them on Thursday. World Series of Fenn. It's official. It has been scheduled. We have some great prizes, and we have some additional. It's like the normal poker prizes, like the normal poker tournament. But we want to get some words out about how all of this is. There's going to be rooms that will suggest if you're on a low budget, a high budget, everything in between. It's all fun. It's all great. We hope you guys join us. And then Chaseopoly we'll talk about on Thursday. But please subscribe because at 1,000, I can tell you things are going to change. I'm going to be able to go with DPro mobile, and maybe I'm going to throw out some of the things, and I'm going to pull a Toby, and I'm just going to say some things that I have heard. I love you, Toby. I love you. I love you, Toby. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, anything you want to say before we go, Jono?
No, I'm good. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for letting me on.
Thank you for coming on. You're always welcome back when you want to. And here's what I'm going to do, everybody. I'm going to play last week's clip. I'm going to play this week's clip, and then we'll play Douglas and what he said about a hint. And we'll do that every Monday, and every Kitchen Sink Monday on the Hint of Riches, we're going to show a new clip. So just tune in. I don't know what it's going to be next Monday, but we'll figure it out. All right,
no,
everybody.
on Thursday. Show up on Thursday, and we're going to discuss it. Show up on Thursday.
But the new clip will be on Monday, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but we're going to discuss it on Thursday. We're going to
yeah.
discuss this one. We're going to discuss lots of things.
Gotcha.
Don't miss us.
All right, everybody,
Subscribe.
hit the thumbs up for showing the clip and subscribe to the channel. All right, we'll see you next time. Here come the clips.
The starting location is important, you have said. Where do we start this poem? Is it in your driveway?
You start your chase by getting in your car and going to the first clue. That's what starts it. If you don't know where warm waters halt, you don't know anything.
You have been very generous, both of you, with your time.
Can I ask one question, Forrest? Just one? Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Do you still believe there's a word that is key that searchers should focus on?
Yes.
And is that word in the poem?
You said one question.
Then you ask it, Christy. Is that word in the poem?
May I ask a
I'm so
question?
far ahead of these guys.
Yes. Cynthia wanted to ask something.
May I ask a question? Is that word in the poem?
Now that was two questions. You asked if you could ask a question. Was the question?
And you thought I was bad.
I take you literally. What's your question?
Is the key word in the poem?
Well, that's what he asked me.
No, he asked you if there is one, and you said yes. My question is it in the poem?
There's one word that will help you more than some of the others
In the poem.
in the poem.
All right. Thank you, Forrest. That's pretty big for searchers.
But you gotta have all of them. One is not gonna take you there. Well, I've been asked 100 times, which is the most important clue in the poem? It's so obvious to me the most important clue is the last one because you're holding the treasure. How could you say any of the other clues are more important than that one? I'm a maverick, aren't I?
I'm going to say this, that in what Forrest just said now, sitting in that chair, I believe a very significant clue was said. But I'm not going to say what it is.
Thank you.
Okay.
Unless
Let's add a
something
little
new.
mystery to this.
Something new that no one has gotten before.
Okay.